The Weekly starts now.
Hi, and welcome to The Weekly, your source for trends and innovations we're seeing in the residential construction market. So big shout out to Rich. He stepped in for me for the last couple of weeks and did a really fantastic job. But he sent me a message, Tony, too many plaid shirts. So in honor of Rich, monotone is the story of the day. The vacation, it was crazy. Went out of the Outer Banks for a week, high winds and surf. I mean, it was beautiful, but my goodness, it was something. But probably just like you, being out of the house for a week did so much for my mental state. I feel fantastic. The other big news, got the second shot of Pfizer on Sunday. Feels great. Not many side effects for me. My wife took it and got really kaboomed on that second one. And there's only one word for it. It's liberating. So we're making great progress, and hopefully you're on the road to getting the second shot also. Our sponsor for today is DuPont Performance Building Systems. And DuPont has a great legacy of innovation, technology, and leadership. And this legacy really allows them to set up the market for the future of construction, which everybody is talking about. DuPont delivers to you the products around insulation, air and water tightness that all professionals and consumers demand in their homes today. Check out DuPont Performance Building Systems. So we kick off today with design. Everyone loves design. But where does the inspiration come from? Tamara Rice, who's one of our U40 winners, we always talk about how much we love them, talks about her inspiration. And she goes back to the old world, Europe, Italy specifically. My goodness, how could you go wrong?
America's wonderful, but we are forever changing, and I feel like we miss the historical wonderfulness of design because we're constantly building and changing and knocking things down. But when you go back to Europe and Italy, there's so much history around you.
You are obviously an African-American woman in an industry that is, to say that the industry is white is like the understatement of the year. Yeah. What has your experience been like as a person of color in such a white-dominated industry?
It can be hard, because a lot of places that I go, there's not a lot of people that look like me. I just went to a meeting recently and, so excited, I'm excited to be around my peers and, around wonderful designers and home builders and architects and whatever, everyone, in the same room. And I walk in, I'm like, man, where are the girls that look like me? Where are the men that look like me? It can be very lonely, and it can feel like, you're like, you don't have a voice sometimes. So I try, just push myself and make sure I have, even if I don't have a seat at their table, I'm creating a seat somewhere else or a table somewhere else so that my voice can be heard, my work can be seen, and that I can, continuously just put myself out there.
That's such interesting stuff from Tamara. And the idea that even though you go old world, you can still use that in contemporary design, that's pretty cool. There was also the whole conversation around diversity and how far we still have to go in this marketplace. So we move from design to high performance building, probably the opposite end of the yin and yang. And Jenny Simon and Graham Davis from IBACOS, who do fantastic work in this area, talk to us about optimized value engineered on the framing side. What is it? How does it work? And what are the details.
There's an expression, you get what you inspect, right? Because you've created these open spaces behind the partitions and back into the corners and all that, you've got to make sure that the insulators are getting that insulation properly tucked all the way back into those corners. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. I have inspected many houses insulated with fiberglass bats and found that those areas are missing. Partially and probably in most cases because the insulator perhaps didn't have enough adequate training. There's high turnover these days among many of the trades, and insulation is a construction trade that you can get into with very little training, quite honestly. So you want to make sure that these guys have been fully and properly trained to understand what all these empty pockets are for. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it shouldn't get insulation.
IBACOS is great. They really do such a strong job in this area. And this high performance building, it's accelerating through the marketplace because you're getting the perfect marriage of the builders want it and the consumers want it. And that's what really ramps it up super fast. So thank you for joining us today. If you missed any of our segments, either this week or in past weeks, you can check them out on Horizon TV and on YouTube. They're all there for you. A big shout out to our sponsor, DuPont Performance Building Systems. They just have great, innovative products for today and looking forward to tomorrow. We look forward to seeing you again next Thursday. It's April 1st, so maybe you should do an April 1st joke on somebody. If anyone has a sense of humor left after 13 months of COVID, you might be able to find the right person. And we greatly appreciate you joining us. See you next week.